Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Ruben, the host of the Seasonal Movement podcast. And today we have Heather McNally. We are honored by her presence. She is the speaker, best author, and life fulfillment coach who founded Heather McNally Enterprises and voice behind Life Beyond BS. So you can kind of fill in the blank there. A philosophy that helps people move beyond belief systems and the bullshit that hold them back and step into authentic joy and empowerment. She knows firsthand what it feels like to be stuck, overwhelmed, feel unworthy, and searching for happiness. And she now helps others rewrite their stories and reclaim their power of choice. I love that, the power of choice. We talk about this a lot in our previous conversation. It's going to come up in this episode. Her work is rooted in authenticity, humor, real life experience, and some brain science. Okay, some. I want to know. Giving some permission to be fulfilled, giving people permission to fulfill themselves while creating lives they truly love. Thank you so much for being here, Heather. Hi, how are you this morning?
Hi, Ruben. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm thrilled. I can't wait to get into this conversation. I'm doing awesome. It's fall in New England, my favorite season, and I'm just so happy to be here.
We had our 30-minute powwow. We have our little icebreaker about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And I gotta be honest, like I was very, very proud of you when you share your story and where you are now. So what I really want to do is just highlight that. And I am extremely excited. It's kind of hard to recreate the first aha moment. Like
Mhm.
as we were going through your story and I kept asking questions about the season, you were like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah," that came up. So
Yeah.
I hope that that comes up as natural as it did when we were first talking because it's very powerful.
Mm.
And I never really know what I'm gonna find in my guess until we do that little call. And I truly believe that it is the majority of the people that experience similar situations where the seasons affect them from different angles. And until we really look into it, we don't really uncover the power of those patterns. So I wanted just to start with a brief story. Like if you can just share your story in 2 minutes about, what is that it led you into the work that you're doing today. That way the audience have a little bit of a background of where we're going here.
Sure. It's funny because everybody has a story, and I didn't believe I did for a long time. But my story is growing up in a household that was abusive. So my father was the abuser, verbally, physically, emotionally. The psychological abuse was much worse than the physical. And I had a mom who was always trying to hide us and help us and support us. But, we're all flawed human beings, right? So grew up abused, went off to college, met the man who became my husband, and this month it's 30 years married and 35 together. And he really started to let me see who I was because I was able to be completely open, honest, authentic with him. And I started to discover who I was, what I didn't want, what I wanted, but my lifelong discovery is really what got me to where I am now, where I went from an abused child to somebody who was opening her eyes for the first time to living through my mom's terminal illness and being her advocate, her caretaker, and she was my best friend, and going through that entire experience with her and seeing even more how I could change, who I could be, and that I had a voice. And eventually my voice became, all right, I'm going to do a blog. All right, well, maybe I could do a little more than that. I could become a coach. Well, maybe I could do more than that because I have a message to get out there. And now I'm a coach. I'm a speaker. I am now it's crazy to say, a number one best-selling author in a collaborative book and launching my own podcast. So I went from somebody who was I can't do anything. Nobody cares about me. Nobody loves me. And I certainly don't love myself to a full life where I truly do love myself and I love my life.
Well, congratulations, Heather. That kind of transformation is something that many of us want to experience. We want to be
Yeah.
somewhere, and then next thing we know, we are just in a different place. Now, what I think that is interesting is that you have shared your story from a trauma
Mhm.
perspective. Like that has been your kind of like your angle to share your story and what you have gone through and your experiences. And as we were talking, I always try to kind of link it with the seasons.
Mhm.
Quite a few of the stories that came out were related to seasons, and not in a made up way, but in a way that is like, oh yeah, I never thought about that, but it's true. Like I feel this way. You actually acknowledge that through a time in your life you consider yourself experiencing seasonal affective disorder. Is that right?
100%. And I had no idea. I didn't know what that was until I was probably about 29, 30. And all I could always remember, and I was talking to actually a nutritionist I was seeing,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, all right, so why are you feeling this? And tell me about this. And she dug in. And we kind of discovered that there were moments in my youth that I remember, and I spent my life outdoors. Like I was an outdoors girl. And it was like the first few, because living in New England, you go through those seasons, all right. And the first few really nice spring days where we had the sun and warmer weather, and you're not wearing winter coats and boots and all that, I felt like I could like leap over buildings. And so I never understood what that meant. It was just like, oh, I feel great.
Mm-hmm.
It took a long time to get to the point where I actually realized that was not just what everybody felt.
Mm. Well, I mean, I think that we all feel better when the
Yeah,
weather is nice.
absolutely.
There is some people that, well, you're mentioning that you love the fall. Like you do
Mm.
love the fall. There's nothing negatively impacting your relationship with the fall, even though you have had experiences in the fall.
Yeah.
Um, but still, the fall is your favorite season.
Mhm.
But now, so how come if the fall is your favorite season, how come in the spring your energy completely changes? Like, how come you are like this superhuman in the first few weeks of spring when you actually love the fall? I find that interesting.
It is, and I think fall it's like new birth and everything like that. But it's all because seeing the buds on the trees and the beautiful light greens, and I feel like everything's coming to life again. But also, there's definitely a vitamin D deficiency in my body.
Mm,
So even though I would spend time outside in the winter, you're completely covered up. Your face, like your eyes are showing.
mm,
That would be it. It was like this invigorating feeling, and I know that it's the light and the
mm,
longer daytime. I know that it's because I've used those lights
mm-hmm.
to help me when it's really dark out in the
Which one?
winter, and I'm just like, I want
I
to curl
changed
up.
those.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
The happy light.
Yeah, the happy light. I have one. My one of my sons has one because he needs it also, and so there's the longer days. There's a different feeling in the air, a completely different feeling in the air,
Mm-hmm.
and definitely the vitamin D, where I wasn't getting that in the winter time, and I discovered over years that I had a vitamin D deficiency.
You know, as we're recording, we're turning into the fall in the Midwest, and I
Hmm.
take that with a grain of salt because really, like right now, it's like the first day of fall. Honestly, it has been
Hmm.
very dry and hot and warm, and it really like this little storm is hitting us. So I'm driving yesterday home, and this is a very beautiful boulevard that I'm driving through, very classical homes and mature trees, and I felt it. I'm like, wow, it is fall, and there's some romanticism to it. I told my wife, I'm like, I drive through that street all summer long. Like I take that same route to go to my baseball games and come back. But while I'm driving yesterday and it's cloudy and it's raining, the houses have beauty to it. The trees, with some of them have leaves, some of them doesn't have that many, but you can already tell the transformation happening. It is beautiful. It is romantic.
Hmm.
But like you say, in the springtime, we do get more light. So
Yeah.
this is the interesting thing about light is that the best red light therapy out there that exists, because now red light therapy is like a big thing. There's a lot of
Mhm.
benefits about red light. Also the happy lights.
Yeah.
there's like different wavelengths. Like the happy light is more of like a blue light. It's not absolutely blue, but it's kind of on that spectrum. And then the red light is obviously red, right? The best one of both of them is actually natural light.
Mm.
But like you said, like even in the winter when we go outside, we don't get as much exposure because we are
Right.
wearing coats.
Right.
And it is proven that the most exposure that you get to it, through your body, that's why when you're doing light therapy with the happy light, it's primarily through your eye.
Hmm.
But when you're doing red light therapy, you actually have to hide your eyes. Like you have to wear some eye protection, and you want to have it all over your body because it goes through your skin.
Right.
So what you're feeling, I believe that is very normal.
Mm.
Um, I do have come to agree that some people are either more self-aware or they have a higher sensitivity.
Yeah.
So I perceive you as being sensitive and at the
Mm.
same time being self-aware, but I think that the fact that you became aware doesn't remove the fact that you're sensitive to it. Now,
Right.
I do believe that all of us experience that. So,
Mm.
what is that super woman like feeling that perhaps you realize that there is something wrong with it? Because when we're looking at seasonal affective disorder, usually it's not to find a positive nickname or anything like that. It's primarily to kind of solve something that is happening in the background. Um, and when we're talking about having a lot of energy, I mean, there's something wrong with that, but perhaps
Mhm.
you realize that there is something wrong on a different season of your life throughout the
Right.
year.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I literally felt like I couldn't just, I was, do I describe this as I could leap over the tallest building or I could lift a building? Like I just felt this incredible surge of energy for a few days. And not that it went away necessarily. I maybe just became more in tune with it because it wasn't brand new all of a sudden after the seasons. And the funny thing is, I think there's beauty in every single season, but the spring just felt to me like new life. Like I was a new woman all of a sudden. Like I could do and I was a kid. I could
Yeah.
do anything. And I still feel it occasionally, not as strongly. But if we have a couple days of rain here, some areas of the country don't get that, but in New England we do. Well, we'll get 2 or 3 days of rain. And by the third day, I'm like, I just want to sit in my chair or in a bed or all curled up with a book and watch TV. And I just start losing some of that energy. So
Yeah.
that spring energy, it literally felt like I could leap over tall buildings. Like I'm Superwoman, definitely. And I wouldn't describe myself as high energy like that all the time, but it was like almost like a little mania.
Yeah. 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 So it's called hypomania.
Yeah.
That's the actual term. And I have experienced that as well. I think that many of us realize of the low feeling after 3 days of rain and no sunshine. Like everybody kind of looks down on that. And it's like we're all very aware. But most people don't realize that there's this other side that is way too high
Yeah.
within reason.
Yep.
There's all sorts of shades and levels to it. So I did some digging into it. It's pretty much like bipolar disorder at a very mild, very, 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 very mild. And it's mostly related to energy.
Hmm.
Now, a lot of people experience the mood swings up and down, and then once you get into a shade of bipolar disorder, and then you do have to perhaps medicate it or look at it in a different way. So,
Hmm.
hypomania, there's something nothing wrong with it. It's
Hmm.
just acknowledging that we go high. Like the reason that we acknowledge the low is because the high also happens.
Yeah.
We just have to learn how to identify and remove the connotation, whether one is bad or good. It's
Right.
just learning about it. And this is interesting because you're in a stage in your career that you're reinventing yourself in a way. Basically, you are like exponentially growing. You are putting yourself out there, starting new businesses and helping people. And I mean, you're in a new phase where that slow down might be a little bit inconvenient. So I want to go there because we're kind of, as we're filming again, we're going to be entering the fall and the winter season. And you are what I call a high achiever, whether you want to accept it or not. Most people don't want to be called that way, but somebody thriving, somebody going for it. And usually I find that the seasonal lens can be beneficial for everybody, but there's like two general populations that can benefit the most, I believe, are the people that are actually struggling with SAD, with hypomania, like they're actually struggling and they're having mood issues, like they truly are lacking the drive and they might be a low level of self-worth. But then there's this other person that is very driven, that
Hmm.
is very energetic, that is very positive, that is going and I think that that person can use the seasons to optimize their life. Like
Hmm.
literally, it's like an edge. Like, can you gain an edge by understanding the seasons of the year? The reason I bring this up is because I want to ask you, like, what are you gonna do in the fall and winter time for the next 6 months as you wanna continue to, in a way, expand what you're doing? And really, I'm not gonna put any connotation in it, and anything. We're gonna be talking back and forward about this, so I'm gonna be able to bring in a little perception as we go. But what are you doing to prepare for that moment, that transition we're getting into?
It's funny because I used to be a very, very depressed person. And, but it was all about me. It was all about me. And so when other people would meet me, they'd be like, oh my God, you're so bubbly. And I'm like, what? So the seasons really did affect me a lot more in a negative way than they do now because of awareness. So for me, the fall is, I love celebrating Halloween. My house is crazy decked out. So I look forward to that. I look forward to, we're going to see my son in Vermont. So we get to go and see him and spend time with him. And he's a lot like me. We both have issues with depression, anxiety, things like that. So it's good for me to check in with him. And we talk almost every day. But it's also good for me to see him and be around him, and we'll celebrate the fall together. I've got a lot of great things going on in my business. So I'm just keeping myself on track. I'm making sure that when I know that I need my downtime because
Mhm.
I'm tired, because I know that it's about to start getting darker again because we're going to go into standard time instead of daylight time. So I
Yeah,
know, all right, this is happening. So what can I do to make sure that 4 o'clock comes, it's dark, and I'm not like, ugh, this is
yeah.
depressing. So I'm just making sure that I'm being very intentional in what I'm doing. My husband and I enjoy traveling, so we're making plans. Maybe not scheduling it, but thinking out what we want to do. We're making sure that we're making changes in our home that we want to make so that my environment in my house doesn't bring me down because I don't thrive in a mess. I
Hmm.
thrive when things are put together and I feel put together. So I'm making sure I'm making those adjustments for myself where in my business I have connections that I'm making. I'm doing something to get me towards that next place that I want to be. Like I'm dropping my podcast. So what am I doing? I'm going to start reaching out to people that I want to interview for my podcast and keeping those connections going, keeping the connections going with just friends that I have around here, keeping the connections going with people that I have done podcast episodes with. So I'm keeping myself in high vibes through connection because social connection is probably the most important pillar of a healthy brain.
Hmm.
And I'm just keeping myself busy, but also saying, all right, we need to have downtime at night. Let's go out to dinner with friends.
Hmm.
Let's have a date night. I just make sure I have those things that I'm looking forward to. So I'm not giving myself the opportunity to just sit down and melt down, you
I
know?
agree. I think you're doing a great job. So what I noticed that happens as we transition is that because we don't plan for it, we don't
Mhm.
put any time to think about what's coming our way, we tend to drop behaviors.
Yeah.
We tend to forget about doing the things that actually got us to be in a good place to begin with throughout the
Yep.
summer.
Yep.
And what you're mentioning, I want to invite you to the seasonal retreat that I do in the winter. I call it the winter retreat recharge because essentially it's just we acknowledge that having 4 months 5 months, 6 months of cloudiness and cold and windy and humid. Like it can get to you. It does get to you. There's a scientific reason why it happens. Our
Mm-hmm.
brain accumulates certain neurotransmitters that are produced at different rates. Next thing you know, you do get a little more down during that time of the year. That's why I will love to share and spend time with you in the Caribbean. You and your husband, my wife is
Yeah.
going, friends are going, and it is like this little Zen retreat place
Mm-hmm.
that we get to recharge. Like
Yeah.
they have a
That's beautiful.
yoga platform. It's in a virgin like a virgin part of the island.
Mm-hmm.
It's a direct flight and it's away from all the touristy attractions. It's like
Mm-hmm.
on its own virgin side of the island and it's just land around it. So,
Yeah.
um, a lot of energy healing happening, a lot of grounding. It's an ecologic kind of like hotel. It's just like paradise. So
Mm-hmm.
having something to look forward in the winter, like I'm mentioning, is like key.
Yeah.
I love doing it in February because
Mm-hmm.
it's like at that point it's like the hardest time. I have studied it. I've done it for over a decade. That is like we go out in the winter somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be like the best time. Also because we get the winds in the Caribbean, so we get to kitesurf.
Mm.
And you just gotta find the right time of the year to replenish yourself.
Yeah.
In the summer we have so much going on. Like
Mm-hmm.
you really don't need to get away. You can go to a park and
Right.
enjoy the weather and enjoy the nice people and everything. But in the winter, you have to be a little more precise on how you do it.
Yeah.
And then I love the fact that you're also acknowledging your internal space, like your home,
Mm-hmm.
and you're
Mm-hmm.
saying, I want to make sure I don't have a disaster going on. So in order to do that, guys, like full time, like, even throughout the summer, don't wait to do that in the middle of late fall, early winter, because it's going to be a lot more challenging to do a
Yeah.
garage sale. It's going to be a lot more challenging to have the motivation to just get stuff out of the house because it's going to be colder. It's going to be more inconvenient. So I think it's extremely important. You're bringing a very important topic, which is that your house needs to be well taken care of because you're going to spend so much time indoors.
Yep.
I noticed that our footprint literally reduces. It absolutely reduces itself. I used to spend a lot of time in my courtyard and I would
Mm-hmm.
work a lot outdoors. Well, I could probably do it today. It's still a little chilly, but as the transition of the season keeps happening, I'm going to get less opportunities to do that. And we all do. So
Yep.
making sure that you have proper lighting. I want to bring something up too that is movement. And the reason I'm bringing that
Mm-hmm.
up is because movement kind of blends into our interior spaces. So
Yes.
I just told my wife, it's like, hey, I'm gonna make a significant investment because I used to have a treadmill that broke, and I want to get a treadmill because this time of the year we move less.
Mm-hmm.
Like we absolutely move less. So a way to combat that is to have a treadmill on your desk where you spend a lot of your
Yeah.
days. So that's a tip out there. Obviously, the lighting, having your happy light. I don't know if you have thought about having a sunrise alarm clock. Um, there's scientific proof why this works. Again, interior space, to kind of
Mm-hmm.
make it more optimized. So this is optimization here. Get
Yeah.
us in the mood to produce more and do more and optimize our lives. The alarm clock with a light rise. It's called a morning rise. It's like a sunrise alarm clock. It's
Okay.
basically a light that you put the alarm and you set it up for 20 minutes before the time you want to wake up, and the light gradually takes
Ah.
over. So I noticed that I actually wake up before my time to wake up with the light,
Yeah.
and when I wake up, your mood is so much different because your circadian rhythm somehow is
Yes.
like awake. So that is a tremendous investment and it's one of the cheapest ones. You can find one of those light fixtures for like 20, $30. It's an alarm clock. And then the other one that I'm experimenting for the first time is red light. So
Okay.
yeah, that's like that. Like when you're talking about interior environments, I'm like,
Mm.
yes, like I love that. I love that you're thinking about it, and I love that you're optimizing yourself for this coming season.
Yeah.
And then finally, you also mentioned social connection.
Mm-hmm.
Social connection, you say neurologically, is one of the most important activities that we can do for a healthy brain.
Yeah.
Oxytocin, like actually spending time with the grown person will stress you out.
Hmm.
So it's about choosing, right? So I love all the things that you're doing. What I recommend to a minimum is like, hey, if you're preparing yourself right now for the next 3 to 6 months, the gene season of the year, it's like make
Hmm.
sure that you have one of those a week. Whether it's a date night, whether it is
Yeah.
going out with your friends, whether it is, you do it virtually, trying to see people's faces so that you
Hmm.
warm up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because again, this time of the year, well, we have the holidays, but after the holidays, there tends to be a little bit of a cliff in
Yeah.
social interaction. So
Yeah.
that can be, negatively impacting our performance
Hmm.
or mood. Again, whether we're optimizing or whether we're trying to get up the ladder a little bit. So I love that you're doing that. Congratulations, you're way ahead.
Thanks. It's really important. And, it took me years to figure all these things out. And I definitely know that when my space is a mess, I'm a mess. Like, I don't feel put together. I don't feel like I can accomplish things. I like to have my things put away. Now, do I do that all the time? No. So when I get to a point where I feel a little bit off and I have to sit and think about what's off, and then a lot of times I'll realize, all right, I can't stay in this mess, even if it's just my desk. When I go to sit down and work and I can't find anything because there's wires everywhere and there's, papers everywhere and water bottles and all the things, I have to stop and I have to clean it up. We were doing this over the weekend. We were cleaning up the house, putting out Halloween decorations, and I opened up a drawer to find something and it was an explosion. And I was like, nope, I can't handle this. So all the drawers in that area, everything's coming out. My husband walks in. He goes, what are you doing? I thought we were just like putting stuff away. I'm like, yeah, but I can't get it away because the drawer's such a mess. So, we can sometimes hide things in places like that, like in a drawer. And you open the drawer and it's like, oh, I can't find anything. And I can't close the drawer again. So I don't like that. I do like having my environment so I can know where things are and I don't have to spend an hour searching for it because that puts me in ugh, I can't even find what I need. Everything's a mess. So it really does make a difference. And the social connection, I went out with people 3 days this week, 3 nights this week, and we spent hours with everybody out to dinner. And it was so much fun and it fills me up. And I go to bed that night feeling so grateful. And I know that helps me sleep better. I know that I sleep longer. I'm not waking up and I wake up in so much better of a mood. So I love the idea of that alarm clock and I'm looking into that definitely.
Yeah, I
Because
can
I
send you
know
a
that
link.
when you get things done, when you wake up in a better mood, you're more apt to, you know, do the workout, to get things done, to feel good all day, go to bed in a better mood at night. It's like such a cyclical thing. One thing being off can throw everything off.
I love the word cyclical. You just mentioned that. It's just like a cycle that repeats.
Yeah.
I do want to emphasize that number one, the key here is that Heather is saying she does it 3 times a week. That's great for her.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you need to do it 3 times a week?
No,
No. Like it's up to you.
and more.
Yeah, yeah. Know yourself. For some introverts, like that might stress you out.
Yeah.
But the important thing is that what we want to recognize is that throughout the year, there are seasons where there is too much of something and when
Mm-hmm.
there is too little of something. So as we transition into the fall and winter, with the exception of the holidays, they tend to bring a lot of social interaction, like whether it's the one that you want to get or not, whether it's with the family member you want to see or not. Like that also plays a big role.
Yeah.
But what you want to be aware is that, sure, we're going to go through a patch throughout the fall and the early,
Mm-hmm.
like towards the end of the fall. It's like middle of the fall, end of the fall. It's like Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. That for most people, and again, I have to generalize, for most people, there's a lot of social interaction there. And
Mm.
then there's like a cliff. But
Yeah.
again, this is a generalization because some people get a lot of birthdays in January. Well, that
Right.
changes the whole thing. So look at your situation and identify what you have too much of and then mile it down. And when you
Yeah.
have too much of, then appreciate what you're missing and bring it into your life. The
Hmm.
social interaction in the winter is like a theme. So maybe that's the time that you go out a little more. You make sure that you meet up with friends. Don't go yourself in isolation
Yeah.
because it's all about patterns,
Hmm.
recognizing patterns. Now, I want to actually dig a little bit deeper because you're talking, okay, when you wake up, great. When you do these things, great. I want to actually, like, this is something we haven't talked about. So it's like to tap into awareness to see if that awareness is there, which
Yeah.
is, have you noticed the pattern on sleep throughout the year, throughout the different seasons of life? Perhaps the time that you go to sleep in the summer might
Hmm.
be different, and you're very aware that it's very different in the winter, or vice versa, or like you haven't even thought about that. I really want to just like dive there because when we're talking about behaviors that are positive for us, we're talking about, having people around, having,
Hmm.
waking up well, but sleep is like the number one neurological behavior we want to make sure that we get right so that it
Yes.
helps with everything else. So
Yeah.
have you noticed those patterns throughout the year?
I definitely feel like I sleep longer in the winter, that I'm more tired in the winter. I don't have the same energy. So when I go to sleep, um, I think I feel like in the winter, I have to think harder about the gratitude and what I'm looking forward to because, when the sun goes down at 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock comes and my husband and I are like, all right, what time is it? It's only 7 o'clock,
Hmm.
and we tend to go to bed at like around 10 o'clock. But in the winter, we're like, oh my God, I'm falling asleep sitting here watching this show. Oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I don't
Yeah.
have that same energy. And we both end up feeling that. And
Yeah.
so I'm very vocal about like, how do you feel? What do and he's not so much. So when I ask him those questions, he'll think about it and he's like, yeah, you're right. I'm actually feeling more tired or,
Yeah.
so I do feel like, and when I wake up in the morning, it's so much colder. I don't want to jump up
Yeah.
out of bed. I don't want to, it's like, ugh. And if it's snowing out, you
Hmm.
know how cold it is out there. And I don't care how high your heat is, or in the summer, how high your air conditioning is. You can feel that still.
Hmm.
So I definitely feel like in just earlier in the day, I'm ready to go to sleep. I don't want to get out of bed. In the summer, I'm more like, all right, let's go. Oh, we're going to go to the beach today. Oh, we're going to go here today. And I'm more excited about doing those things. In the winter, I think I feel just more like, ugh, I want to be closed up. And I know myself, once I start that, I get deep into that. So I have to work really hard at having those things available to me.
So
That,
I wanna dive deep on you talk about two sections. You talk about the evening and then you talk about the morning. And I wanna
yeah.
bring because there's actually benefits that we can apply on
Hmm.
both of them
Hmm.
to have to create that positive rhythm. So I will start by saying it is absolutely natural the way that you feel and the
Hmm.
way that most of us feel. Like, 9 out of 10 people you talk to are going to say the same thing. Like, it's 4 o'clock, I'm getting tired by 7. What I
Hmm.
think that it hasn't been spoken much about is that we actually have some sort of bad perception about it.
Hmm.
And like you say, like, okay, you didn't explicitly said it, but implicitly you're expressing that you might be tired by 7, but then you still kind of like trying to go to sleep by 10.
Hmm.
And since we're tired, we're trying to fill that up with like it's like a gap, it's like a gap on our schedule. It's like you just put a show, like we don't want to move, we don't want to think, we get lazy. So
Yeah.
I believe that that is extremely normal. But
Hmm.
what I like to do is to like look at things from a different angle. So um, it's very natural that by 7 we're tired because it got
Yeah.
dark by 4, and
Right.
this is a neurological reaction to
Hmm.
our environment, which is that unless we have all the lights cranked out in our house and we have our phones and our TVs, like if we don't have blue light contamination, which
Hmm.
actually is rare nowadays,
Yeah.
the natural thing for us is to want to go to sleep early. I know that for a fact that there shouldn't be like this extreme variance, but there
Mm.
should be a variance of, I say a healthy variance is between 1 and 4 hours between the
Hmm.
summer and the winter. And those are like the deep points. Like between the rest, it might just be an hour, two, three
Yeah.
at most. The reason this is important is because if you're feeling tired by 7, have you ever considered, and this is just, like looking at things a little different,
Hmm.
perhaps you're asleep by 8, and perhaps you're asleep by, and then, but this is the thing. That doesn't mean that you still wake up at, perhaps
Yeah.
7, that means that you wake up by 5. I
Right.
mean, it's something to consider
Yeah.
because if we are already tired, if we are naturally drawn towards closing our eyes and falling to sleep, and there's nothing really stopping us other than our mindset, then
Hmm.
why wouldn't we do it, right? Like, is there something? So I want to deep into there, and that's the evening portion. Then we will talk about the early portion, how we can actually do that nicely.
Yeah.
Um, my question to you is that the go-getter that society has put in your heart that doesn't go to sleep that early?
Yeah, I would say that I've always been more of a night owl than a morning person, and I don't know exactly why. Um, I have been getting, so I'm the person that if I didn't have my husband, who's like, he calls himself an afternoon person. He's like, he doesn't love late night, he doesn't love early morning. But if it wasn't for him, I'd probably be up a lot later. I used to do that. I'd be up until 1 or 2 in the morning.
Hmm.
The problem then is by the time I'd wake up, I'm like, ugh, I either didn't get enough sleep or my day felt like it was, partly over already. So we've been, we do go to bed by 10 o'clock, but I've been thinking more and more about when I wake up earlier, I feel better
Hmm.
throughout the day. I feel more accomplished and then I'm tired earlier. So I don't want to stay up as
Hmm.
late. So yeah, I definitely think that I should probably start following those rhythms of what my body's telling me to do
Hmm.
because I think I'd probably get a better night's sleep and wake up more refreshed.
So there is a lot of, and this is normal, by the way. There
Yeah.
has to be a guessing moment to understand. So I guess I'm supposed to, and the
Yeah.
reason you say I guess is because you
Society.
don't know exactly. So sometimes we don't know if we go to sleep late because of a bad habit or because your
Yeah.
biology actually, there's chronobiology. We all have our unique timing mechanism. There is actually night owls, and then there's early risers, and there is
Yep.
something in between.
Yep.
So there's nothing wrong going to sleep late or early. It's just like just honoring who you are.
Yeah.
What I find that is difficult is that sometimes we don't know if that's
Yeah.
just us being lazy saying I'm just gonna do what comes natural because like whatever. But I know that if you knew that that's what you are, that's who you are, then you are like, I'm gonna do it because that's who I am. I'm gonna honor myself. So I'm gonna offer you our genetic testing, which is that's
Okay.
what it does. It takes
Mhm.
away that who am I? And that's the
Yeah.
thing. It's like when I'm on this side, unless I know those things, it's really hard for me. That's what I'm saying. Hey, I'm just putting a case out there. That
Yeah.
8 o'clock sleeping time might be the worst thing you can do for your biology, or it might be the best. But I don't know that until we do that testing.
Right.
It's just basically measuring our bodies to know our tendencies.
Yeah.
So,
It would be
what
interesting to find out, but I did have something pop up in my mind as you were talking
what is it?
that um, in my home, um, my father was, very abusive, and I only felt like I had time to myself when I was in bed at night.
Yeah.
But I also couldn't fall asleep because I realized when I was in high school that I held all my stress like in my neck and my jaw and my shoulders. And that young, I was like, why are my shoulders hurting? Why is my neck hurting? Why am I and I realized all of a sudden one night that I was like, and I breathed and everything just went away. But I think it was that processing at night that I couldn't shut my mind off, that I needed that downtime to figure out who I was, that I wasn't in fight or flight, fight, flight, freeze, that I wasn't stressed. I wasn't trying to hide. I was just being.
Mm-hmm.
And that just popped into my mind. Yeah.
Wow. So we talk a lot, and that hasn't come out yet. I do have a section saved for us to go into the trauma and how it's
Okay.
seasonal too. But
Yeah.
when we're talking about cycles, you just identify a cycle. I find a lot of power into understanding our patterns within the
Yeah.
cycle. So Number one cycle is your daily cycle, like that's just
Hmm.
gonna happen.
Yep.
Number two is your weekly cycle, like your week repeats, like it's a mirror after a mirror. And again, those patterns that you just mentioned, you became aware in your daily cycle, then you can
Hmm.
also start looking into cycles, into patterns within the weekly cycle.
Yep.
Then the woman has a 28, 28, 30-day cycle. Then the
Hmm.
seasonal cycle, I think
Hmm.
it's important. And then the yearly cycle. I think those are cycles that repeat themselves.
Oh yeah.
So I just want to acknowledge that you just realize of one daily cycle that reign your life, and now you have choice, which is all that you want to, empower people to do is, oh,
Hmm.
I notice this pattern is repeatable. Now I get to have a choice. It's not driving me unconsciously into my grave. I won't say that. I guess
Yeah.
I said it, but it won't drive me my actions without me noticing it. So,
Yeah.
okay, so the evening conversation starts with you already understand your cycles throughout the year.
Hmm.
We also do that a little bit to some people are not even aware. Like I wasn't aware that when I moved from Venezuela to the Midwest, there was gonna be a day and a half difference of sunlight between
Hmm.
the summer and the winter. I had no idea. Like when I did the little testing, it's literally a prompt for ChatGPT so that you can see a table and you can see where I live, which is I think I have it even higher because you're a little higher than where I
Hmm.
am. The summer is a day and a half of light compared to the winter. So again, neurochemical changes are on the menu. Like
Yep.
there is no way around it. So
Yes.
that's the first step. But after that, then you have to become aware of your geographic location, and then you have to become aware of your own biology. Which
Yeah.
that's where the testing is like, hey, listen, like let's do it, like so that you
Yeah.
can figure that out. Because from there, then we start making decisions. Oh
Hmm.
yeah, we're in this time of the year, so my biology is prone to be a night owl or an early riser or
Hmm.
whatever. So we're gonna be on the lower end of that night owl because we are in the darker time of the year. But then in the summer, we're gonna go up a little bit. That's
Yep.
very different than, oh, I just go to sleep at 10 p.m. at night. No, it's like, hey, you know what? In the winter, I go to sleep at 9:30, and then in the summer, I go to sleep by, hey, 11 o'clock. I'm leaving it up.
Yeah.
So the other question becomes, how about people that don't that are not early morning people, right?
Hmm.
Uh, and the reason I ask this is because you mentioned you notice in the summer you wake up ready to go.
Hmm.
And again, that's a very natural thing because there's probably lighting floating through your
Yeah.
windows. That's why you're going to be trying out that sunrise alarm clock
Hmm.
because, again, that's what it does. Like in the winter, we tend to wake up and it's still dark outside.
Yeah.
This mimics that sunrise, so it kind of triggers our circadian rhythm into waking up before we wake up because oftentimes we're waking up to an alarm clock, but our biology is still sleeping.
Yes. Yeah.
So I wanted to give another tip on that end, which
Hmm.
is that if you have a smart thermostats,
Hmm.
that is the beauty of them. Like that is the reason I got them. You save a little bit of money here and there, but
Hmm.
primarily so that I can optimize my circadian rhythm because our circadian rhythm is reactive to temperature.
Hmm.
Temperature is one of the, I think it's called givers. It's a German word. It's just time givers.
Hmm.
And the trick is this: like, if you know that you want to wake up by, let's say, 6 a.m., 5 a.m., if your heater starts cranking up, start producing a little more heat, so
Hmm.
that when you're waking up, it is the warmest it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Then there's a little bit less resistance into,
Mm.
man, I gotta step into this cold environment and I'm so
Right.
warm under these blankets. Actually, by being warm, you're actually going to wake up and be uncomfortable, number one.
Hmm. Hmm.
Number two, then it's not uncomfortable walking around the house.
Right.
But the key is that the temperature actually wakes you up.
Uh-huh. Yep. I can't sleep when it's too warm.
Yeah, exactly. So what you do is that at night you want it to be cold, The
Hmm.
coldest, is gonna be is before you go to bed, so that you naturally, your temperature comes down. But then when you're
Hmm.
gonna wake up, you want to get it up.
Yeah.
So again, talking back to interior environment optimization and the value of understanding this is that your schedule should be changed around this time
Hmm.
of the year to promote
Yeah.
whatever it is that you want to get out of the season.
Right.
So change your thermostat, everyone.
Okay. That's, I never even thought of doing that, to start coming up in the morning to help me feel more awake and want to get out of bed because I'm too warm.
Now, this is the next step. And again, depending on your biology, you might want to consider this, but you have to know. So,
Hmm.
how about movement? We haven't talked much about movement yet when it comes down to optimizing your day. It hasn't come up. So, you want to tell me a little bit what your plan is with movement and exercise this next season?
Yeah, so I actually had both of my knees,
Hmm.
the meniscus tear at the root, which means most people are like, oh, meniscus tear. Oh, you're going to be up and walking in 2 weeks. No, no, no. I had to do it special. And both of mine became unattached. It's a 6 to 8 month recovery from the surgery where you're in a lockout brace for 8 weeks, 4 weeks no weight bearing, 2 weeks 50% weight, and 2 weeks unlocking the brace, still walking with your crutches somewhat. And since I had one done last September and one done this June, unfortunately, I've developed pretty bad arthritis in both knees since then. So I see a knee replacement in my future. But what I was before I had all this, I was doing strength training. And I was lifting heavier and doing really well. And then all of a sudden I noticed something's going on. I'm having a harder time getting around. Long story, I ended up with both of my knees had this meniscus tear. So what I started doing is working out on a chair or I have one of those boxes that you can do box jumps on and whatnot. So it's a foam, really thick foam box. So I'll sit on that and I found workouts that I can do that are seated strength training workouts and seated yoga and different things like that, where I laugh and joke with my husband, what am I, 95 years old? I'm sitting there. But it's for people who, maybe are maybe are older and don't have the mobility or don't have the mobility because of injuries like me or are overweight and it's too hard. So what I find is when I do that, I feel so much more accomplished than if I don't do a workout. It can be hard, physically coming back from injuries like that. That can feel very depressing. Having gone through the first one last September, I had a harder time than I did this time. Maybe because I knew what to expect, but also because I was like, nope, I'm not going to let this stop me. So I definitely find that I need to do the movement, and I find that if I do it earlier in the day, it brings all those endorphins. I feel
Hmm.
so much better. I feel more accomplished. Physically, my body feels better. And when I do any kind of workout later at night, I feel less motivated.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I also, and even that's in the sunlight, even if it's still
Yeah.
sunny, I still feel less motivated. I've been doing X, Y, and Z all day. My husband's home. I don't really want to. And then I can't fall asleep because I've got all of those endorphins running late at
Yeah.
night. And I'm thinking, and I just did this. And so I find that the movement makes me feel so much better. It's helping my knees.
Hmm.
It's
Of
helping
course.
the rest of my body, and mentally it helps me so much. And of course it doesn't hurt that I have 3 dogs that come and try to work out with me, and they're all big dogs too. I've got 2 Great Danes, so they're coming over trying to work out with me too, which is hysterical. So it kind of gives me some levity to the whole thing, where maybe I'm feeling like, oh my god, I can't do this anymore, and they come and lick me or come and put their face in my face or something, and it cracks me up. So
They motivate you.
um, yeah, it definitely motivates me and makes me laugh, and I feel so much better after I've done it versus when I don't.
So, number one thing when we're looking at patterns is that
Mm.
you are in a unique season of your life. So,
Yeah.
what you did 5 years ago is very different to what you do now. And then hopefully it's going to be extremely different than what you do 5 years from now because you're going to be
Yep.
going back to what you did 5 years ago, right?
Exactly.
So, like, that is the thing. Is like every season is not the same. At times, it's more dramatic than others. But if we don't experience a dramatic life changing
Mhm.
event, they're going to be more likely to be very similar to what we did last year.
Yeah.
Um, I want to bring up the fact that, again, knowing your biology is also a way of knowing if you are ready to work out early in the morning or
Mhm.
in the afternoon. So, most people are primed to work out around meridian time when the
Mhm.
light is at its brightest,
Mhm.
and it's just kind of like a survival mechanism humans have had, but there's variances. So a segment of the population actually experience their peak in abilities to work out like as soon as they wake up.
Mhm.
It's just like they bounce back from that stress of the exercise a lot faster,
Mhm.
and they have like a good day. And then there is some people that actually do better, not very late at night.
Yeah.
Exercise at night is not perhaps recommended,
Mm.
but like in the afternoon, like late afternoon, because their bodies, so our bodies sometimes are more ready and are actually asking, and I feel it. Like once you feel it, it's like, man, my body's is prime right now. My body's
Yep.
asking for some movement. So for me, what I find that is interesting that we might want to keep again keeping the seasonal theme here is if we're going to sleep early in the winter because you already agree it's darker, and
Mm.
instead of being on our phones or instead of being watching TV, like if we have a good evening routine, which we
Mm.
haven't really touched much on it, but if we do, then we can go to sleep early and
Yeah.
have a good night's sleep. Like again, for somebody early might be 8, for somebody
Mhm.
early might be 11. It's just in
Yeah.
relation to where you are, number one, and number two, to your biology. So
Yeah.
let's just keep that in mind. We're not talking, everybody has to go to sleep by 6. But if you're going to sleep earlier, then that means that you usually have unlocked the same amount of time for your morning. Think about it.
Right.
Like, sure, you sleep a little more. You might sleep a half hour more. Like, it's no
Mhm.
more than a half hour. If you're
Yeah.
sleeping an hour or two more, I think that there is an issue there. Like like there
Mhm.
shouldn't be that big of a variance. There must be a
Mhm.
lack of, again, light or
Yeah.
exercise or nutrition or relationships. Like there is
Yeah.
some things that we have to attack from other angles.
Mhm.
But if we go to sleep, let's say 2 hours before or summer sleep time, well, that means that now you have 2 hours in the morning.
Right.
So that's what I find interesting is that now those morning exercises for me become a lot more convenient. And it's not that I do all the time. It also there's a lot more factors, but I enjoy fall and winter morning exercise
Mhm.
compared to the summer. Usually in
Yes.
the summer it's like I go to sleep late and I
Mm.
wake up again, quote unquote, late. That might be,
Mhm.
7 in the morning and the light is on, so I'm ready to go and I just go to work,
Yeah.
and then I have so much more energy in the summer because it's getting dark by 9 p.m. So like, oh, it's 4. I'm primed to exercise, and I go
Yeah.
exercise, and I still have a little downtime to kind of mild myself down so I have a good night's sleep. But in the winter, it's like if I haven't worked out by, 4, 5 o'clock, I'm like I'm done.
Yeah, yeah. I used to actually work out when I really first started working out. I went from couch to kickboxing. And that
Great
was
idea.
probably stupid in the respect that I could have started walking first or, a little bit less intense at first, but I went whole hog into it. And, I had tried. I think motivation is a huge thing. The people that you surround yourself with is a huge thing because I said to one of my friends who, had started working out at this gym and I'm like, I want to get what you're getting. Like you seem so much happier. You're physically, it's showing everywhere.
Catastrophis. Like she's just letting all the anger go on a bag.
I started doing it. And I went, oh no, we didn't hit bags. We hit people.
Yeah, even
We held
better.
back. And this was, kickboxing for form. Like we were really trying to truly learn how to do it right. This wasn't cardio kickboxing. So, that was tough. But I did it all at night and I started doing, practicing Krav Maga also. And I did it all at night and I loved it. And then when I started getting healthier, I started sleeping better. I started waking up earlier. I started to go in the mornings sometimes, and eventually I switched over to the strength training, and I was doing that all in the mornings. And when we didn't get to do it in the morning, I felt so defeated sometimes. I
Mm-hmm.
felt I didn't have the same energy. And when I went to the kickboxing class, I mean, to the classes that I did in the morning at like 7 a.m. So I'm up at 5:30, getting ready, get to the gym, do my workout. It's 8 o'clock and I still have the whole day ahead of me and my energy level is up and I'm feeling those endorphins running through my body and I'm feeling great and I got so much more accomplished. So that's where, when I got the injuries, I stopped doing that and I notice a difference. And
Yeah.
so lately I've been trying to get up earlier and just get doing something. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel better when I do that because I get more accomplished.
Now, two things. Finding the right kind of exercise.
Mm.
Obviously, in this case, there is a limitation.
Mm-hmm.
But even let's say that we're talking, everybody has their both knees in place, and my exercise will be different than your exercise based on
Yep.
our height or
Right.
age or weight or circumference of our body. Some
Yep.
people can have very negative effects on like excessive weight training. Some
Yes.
people, that is like the best exercise they should be doing. Some
Mm-hmm.
people will benefit from being a ballerina while others,
Right.
won't fit the mold. So what
Exactly.
is what is important to know is like when you know yourself, you can kind of start learning, oh, that's why I like that exercise more. For
Mm-hmm.
example, like CrossFit is kind of like a fashionable thing to do nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people that should be 100% doing it. Perhaps they're shorter frame, they're
Mm-hmm.
bulky, like they're strong and they can move and throw stuff in the air
Yeah.
and run
Not for
fast.
me.
But then there's some people that will injure. Like the issue is injury. They're more
Yes.
prone to injure when they do those exercises. So
Yes.
optimizing your life is like, okay, sure, try it,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you don't have a knowledge, but learn how to hear your body. Because the
Yes.
fact that your best friend does it, if you see his body and yours, might be a signal that you should be doing something else.
Yeah,
Um,
you've got to find something that you connect with and that you enjoy. You can have a love-hate relationship with it and the fact that, oh, this makes me sweat, it makes me sore, it makes me this. But if you enjoy doing it and it's giving you the right results, it's not injuring you, it's making you stronger, it's making you healthier, fantastic. But like you also need to look at who you're going to. You need to find people that are certified, licensed, trained, know how to train somebody that you can go in there and say, I have XYZ issues, or this is what I'm looking for, and this is what my body's like. And they can take you through what it's like to do a workout with the proper form, with the proper movements. That's huge also.
I agree. One thing that you mentioned when you mentioned people,
Mm.
I mean, I'm not trying to box you into this kind of
Yeah.
person, but like, there is body type. So like I can
Yep.
say, oh, I think that you are a ethnomorph body
Okay.
type.
Okay.
You see, like I will do that, right? But there's
Yep.
different ratios and I haven't never seen your actual full body. We're always
Right.
talk on camera.
Yeah.
But the reason I say that because there's also psychological traits that we develop
Hmm.
based on that. So
Yep.
like I noticed that you are all about people, not all about, but like you are very into people. Like people give
Yes.
you joy.
Yes.
Like you are connected and
Hmm.
you understand that. So the same applies to working out. When you start saying about the people, I thought you were gonna go there, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, of course, she's an ectomorph, yeah, ectomorph body type
Yeah.
because the exercises for that body type, like psychologically, like they want to be around people. So in
Yes.
order to work out, you actually want to find that crew to work out with. So
Yep.
like on the other side of the spectrum, that is me, which is
Yeah.
like I kind of like to do my own thing. Like
Mhm.
I have a hard time kind of like when I'm working out, usually I'm like with the headphones. I'm the guy with the headphones and like
Mhm.
going at it, and that's
Yep.
it. So it's interesting again knowing yourself
Yeah.
so that you can create the conditions for that to be the most satisfaction way, that it can come out. And in this case, it can be working out with people or not. Like
Yeah.
that is part of what biological testing will provide you, right?
Right. Well,
Now,
I will say you're right, 100% right. I found my people in the gym that I went to.
yeah, and
And
that's
those,
why you're motivated too.
yeah,
That's why you're motivated too to go see
yeah,
them.
a
Like
hundred
like
percent.
so like that is a recommendation for that person. It's like, hey, go ahead, find your crew, keep
Yeah.
it up, motivate each other, go and do the whole stuff together. But if
Hmm.
somebody tells me that, I'll be like, I think
No.
you're talking to the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Now, what is interesting and what I propose when it comes down to timing,
Hmm.
it's not just timing actually, it's timing, intensity, frequency, and the type of exercise. I recommend to really look into yearly programming. So
Hmm.
yearly programming is just what professional athletes do. It's like, you have the year, and within the year, we're usually going to have a season. Like
Hmm.
I'm in season, like baseball season is summertime, and then I'm gonna be off season, so like
Hmm.
post. So then we can even break it down in post baseball season. Then we
Yeah.
can break it down into early preseason,
Hmm.
and then we can break it down into preseason and then season again. So the reason
Hmm.
this is important is because when we focus on what type of exercise all year round without really mixing it up, we can create a negative type of atrophy. Like our
Hmm.
body can be built for a specific activity. It might be a sport. It might be again, weightlifting. And then you're missing all the other stuff that makes a healthy body. So you
Hmm.
might be missing mobility. You might be
Yeah.
missing flexibility. You might be missing speed. You might
Yeah.
be missing form,
Hmm.
posture. Why? Because so, like for example, a person that just runs and runs and runs and runs and runs and runs. I mean, that's great, but they're probably gonna lose muscle over time.
Hmm.
And wouldn't we agree that just muscle aging with muscle is one very important thing to do, right?
Oh,
And then look
yes.
at the other way around. The person that just lifts and lifts and lifts and lifts and lifts, and then they might be a little bulky and then they don't have any mobility.
Hmm.
Or, do a sprint, like run, they will just pull their hamstring.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to fixing that, it's into basically deciding what is my yearly programming looking like.
Hmm.
And when people don't have a sport, like a specific motivation, like, hey, I'm doing this because I'm gonna do a 4K, sorry, a 5K, or I'm gonna do I have my baseball season, or I have my surfing season, or I have my bikini season. Everybody's different. When you don't have that, the easiest thing to do is to tap into the season that you're into and
Hmm.
align your exercise regime in the season.
Right.
So when winter arrives, if you have arthritis, you're gonna feel it.
Yep.
So how about making the fall and the winter like the biggest theme is to ensure that those pains are mitigated to a certain degree, which is not like they're just
Mhm.
gonna go away, but perhaps it's mobility.
Right.
Perhaps it's like warming up, like
Mhm.
having a routine that is specific for this season.
Yep.
And then it comes back to timing. Okay, if we so this is what I want to challenge you on, because you mentioned through your exercise journey you have
Hmm.
gone through some kind of ups and downs
Oh,
based on
yes.
like everybody does.
Yeah.
What I challenge everybody to do, and I have a perfect story for this. I truly believe that it's no matter of motivation or discipline. I want to bust that myth out. So like,
Mhm.
if you ever felt that you are less because your motivation or your discipline has failed you and in your exercise journey, I'm here to tell you that it's not. You're perfectly fine. What you are missing is the awareness of all the
Mhm.
patterns that come into your life with the seasons that come and go. So the best winter of my life was back in 2021. I did everything right without really knowing what I was doing. I had like the best seasonal routine I could come up with at the time. I wasn't really trying. I just created a good routine, and that
Mhm.
was also part of working out in the morning at 5 a.m. with two friends.
Mhm.
And that will carry me through the day, right? Like that will be my beginning, my wake up switch, sauna afterward, like optimized routine in place. What ended up happening was that as we transition out of the winter into the springtime, those 5 week, like 5 days a week workouts turning into 3 days.
Mhm.
They turn into two, one, and all of a sudden I'm like, I can't sustain this because I was getting tired. I
Yeah.
was waking up druggy or druggy. I don't know how to say it. I was waking up I was tired when I was waking up. Okay, I go and I work out. I'm not feeling it anymore. I'm not like into it. I'm not enjoying this. Sometimes I can't wake up. I'm so
Mm,
tired. This is what I want us to realize. That morning workout worked really good in the fall, in the winter, because the lighting was going down early. So I will
mhm,
wake up early. But as the spring starts showing up and the lighting starts to show up until later and later and later
mhm,
and later, eventually you cannot go to sleep as early as you were going to sleep in the winter. So what happens? Because we don't adjust the timing of that exercise routine that served us for so long and it was a great idea, and because we're not even aware that that's the issue, we
mhm.
drop it off.
Yeah.
We fail because we never had an ending date to that timing, that regime, that type of exercise.
Mhm,
So what I propose is that we become aware that as the lighting changes, the energy of the season changes, the social interactions change, and they change in a pattern, in a seasonal pattern. So once you are aware, like the same thing that you're doing right now with
mhm,
with your social dynamics, with your interior house, the same thing you can do with exercise and realize where in my day, because of this unique environment I'm facing, where will exercise fit best, and realize I will have to change it in the spring.
mhm.
Because like I say, like we might have failed just because of that fact and we haven't realized that.
Definitely. And I will say that I noticed, so I was doing the strength training, I want to say 2, 3 years, probably about 3 years that I was going out physically, going to a location. And in the wintertime, I definitely had a harder time getting up, being motivated to get outside because, oh, I've got to put on my winter coat. I've got to do this. I've got to warm my car up ahead of time. I mean, I don't have to, right? You do need to wear the winter coat. I don't have to warm my car up ahead of time, but it's painful to go outside sometimes when it's, 2 degrees out. So,
So
you know,
so that
but
becomes a block in your
yes,
routine.
absolutely. So when I started doing things at home, I noticed that if I felt up for it, I'd get up and do it in the morning. But if not, I was doing it sometimes before lunch. So I might have lunch a little bit later because I might have gotten up a little bit later in the wintertime and had breakfast a little later. I don't like to work out on a full stomach. I'll have a little snack, but I don't enjoy that eating and the whole thing is not very good for me when I
Mhm.
have eaten something. So I would do it maybe 12, 12:30 and then have my lunch afterwards. So it gave me, I felt more awake, but it also gave me the motivation because, oh, I get to have my lunch after this. So I had that positive association with, I
Mhm.
did the work. I feel good about that. Now I get to have a lunch and not feel bad about eating. Not that it's a thing.
Yeah,
But like I'm fueling my body, I'm giving it the protein it needs, I'm giving it what it needs, and my body's ready for it.
100%. So that is the next behavior we want to look from a seasonal perspective is
Mm,
nutrition. So if
yes.
we already optimize our for sleep based on our lighting and our biology,
Mm-hmm.
then if we already optimize the exercise and the movement based on our environment or light or season in our biology, the next one is the nutrition because like you said, your nutrition has to adapt based on the time of the day you're going to work out. You don't want to go workout with nothing on your stomach whatsoever. I mean, you can. I do it actually, but perhaps not
Mm-hmm.
in a hunger state that
Right.
is negatively affecting you. You know what is proper and not, and you also
Yep.
don't want to do it with a full stomach, because
No.
what is a natural thing that you do then, as you mentioned, you adjust your nutrition schedule. You have
Right.
a lighter meal so that then you
Mm-hmm.
have something in your stomach, and then you work out, and then you have a larger meal, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So I often find myself doing like 4 or 5 meals a day that there's not really
Mm-hmm.
like a real lunch. Sometimes during certain seasons of the year, based on my workout routine. Like when do I
Mm-hmm.
want to feel, the greatest to go
Right.
and exercise. So I think we have touched on all of them and you are already doing. So what I wanted to highlight in this episode was that we do have a choice,
Hmm.
and that is your message. You do have
Yeah.
a choice. We didn't
Yeah.
get to touch much on seasonal patterns when it comes down to trauma, because that is something that really came up. Maybe we do a second episode just on that, because we
Yep.
kind of got into gravitating towards optimization of our schedules to give
Right.
more ideas, to give
Yeah.
more direction as we transition into a season. And we touch on sleep,
Hmm.
exercise, nutrition. We touch on social dynamics. We
Hmm.
touch on a hint of novelty. We didn't really implicitly. We did it implicitly, but a hint of novelty means to have an exciting life ahead of us every
Right.
single season. There's not this
Hmm.
dual, boring season. It's just like
Right.
I'm gonna be doing this. And for an entrepreneur, an optimized person as you, Heather, like that's just so normal because you have things in your plate that are making you grow, that are new, that are stretching you, that you're excited about.
Yeah.
So some people might need to look at more than others, and it's also depending of the season. But you're
Hmm.
already doing that. So the key theme here, and what we didn't touch, the one last one we didn't touch was outdoor connection. We didn't touch it at all, but we're kind of
Hmm.
running out of time today. So those are the most neurological impacting behaviors within any single routine. And
Hmm.
my propose, and I think what we have shown is that they are seasonal. And the
Yeah.
most seasonally aware that we are, the most optimized they can be for the moment that we need them, that we're doing them. Not like what used to work 6 months ago or what is gonna work 6 months from now, but what we are enjoying and doing now. And
Hmm.
I'm very confident that you're gonna have a great season because you have done so much thought about it. And for anybody else watching, um, that is really like the calling is look into your routine, look into your season. If you need help with that, obviously let me know. I mean, that is my obsession. I have my method, like I have apps and all sorts of things so that you can go step by step.
Hmm.
So that is the call here, and we're gonna do another episode so that we can go deeper into Heather's story because there is also a lot of the recognition that trauma has happened through different seasons. What I think the opportunity that we have is like this is like a case study of somebody that has become aware,
Hmm.
somebody that has become aware in many different areas of their life, and
Hmm.
because of that, is able to read patterns. So,
Hmm.
what we want to do is highlight those so that everybody else hearing can do the same thing because we all live through it. It's just whether we are aware or not. Now,
Hmm.
I do want to give you a shot at your book. So your book is a bestseller book. I the way that you did it, I think is fantastic. So I want you to let us know where we can find it. We're gonna have it on the link down below. And what
Okay.
can we expect out of your book?
So I was fortunate to be amongst six other women that we all wrote a chapter in this book. It's called Rise: How to Find Your People, Power, and Purpose in Your Journey Towards Success. It is on Amazon. I'm sure it's on a whole bunch of places, but that's my main link that I send people to. And if they go to my personal website, which is heathermcnally.com,
Mhm.
there is a link right to that there. And it was just phenomenal because without even knowing the title, the full title of the book, we knew it was about rise. We knew it was about women rising. All of us had a story to tell. And though they're all different stories, you may find abuse, you may find somebody feeling like they're not seen. There's so many different stories that people tell. We all had connection and connection to the title. And it was really powerful to read each woman's story because even though you didn't go through childhood abuse or maybe household violence or things like that, you see pieces of who you are in everybody's story. Maybe it was that you didn't feel seen, maybe that you didn't feel worthy. For me, a huge part, and you said it, it's awareness, because once you have awareness, you have choice. So that is really the power of that book.
I I will. Anybody hearing this, if you want to go and purchase the book, there's the Amazon link, but I will recommend you going into the actual website Heather's website, that would be the best place because as an author, like there's different fee structures that happen out there, and usually we benefit the most when you buy it directly from us. So I want to close this out and say I think what we have discovered is becoming aware of the gift of patterns, like seeing patterns as a gift. So there
Yes.
is a lot that I know Heather will be telling her younger self right now, and the same for me. And I hope that that has been the case for you as well as you recognize this. And I want to lead you into having compassion
Mm,
and to recognize that wisdom happened through experiences. Sure, awareness can be, you can receive that through a word, through somebody's example. But when it comes down to wisdom, sometimes it takes time. So take this with compassion and be positive. Like if you actually want to do something, that is a positive thing here. And I'm here to serve you in any way that I can. You know, keep checking the podcast. We're going to be doing another episode on actual trauma and the seasons and how there are so many correlations because I think that's when we really get into the nitty gritty of how our brain works.
mm.
And we had some amazing examples that we didn't have enough time to talk about today. It goes really deep on that direction. And my encouragement to you is to, hey, keep it seasonal. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.